lesson learned for in the devil's hand. Learning his lesson well, he soon returned home to his father's land. Now, brother Satan had misled him. He began to see the light. He had to wrestle with the devil, had to win that bitter fight, defeat the devil, and become a righteous man. If you can understand, the story relates to the fall of man. For way back in history, the race of man fell into misery. We let the devil use his power to corrupt our sense of right. His brother Satan's wicked purpose to distort our guiding light, to keep the race of man from the righteous land. It's still the same with man on earth today, caught in this devil's den, lost in this world of greed and poverty, world full of hate and sin. Now what we must do is to learn to face the truth that can make us free. To love our brother, one another, is the truth that can make us free. To plan a better life, that's free from hate and fear. From brothers, that is why, the reason why we're here. We are here to learn that we've got to return for with that son.
What's good, fam? How's everybody doing? What's up? This is Jobs, and you are tuned into My Skin is My Sin on Blog Talk Radio. From goons to gods, we welcome everyone. We only have one rule, and that's be respectful. Hopefully your life is going well today. I can't complain about today. It's been a beautiful day. We got a phenomenal guest today. If you have not heard, Abdul Malik Abbott should be joining us, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so. And this brother has done pretty much everything. And we'll get into the resume in a little bit, you know. So, anyway, y'all know we don't really do anything for the first 10 or 15 minutes. I'm still waiting on the Queen Afi to show up. So if you feel like calling and chopping up with me for a second or two, the number is 347-855-8692. And if you see the post, share the post. We got a couple of live streams jumping off. Let's show some brothers some love. You know, we're going to talk about black filmmaking today and the importance of controlling our narrative. You know, so again, if you got a question or a comment, the number is 347-855-8692. And I got to shout out 8918, who was in the queue like 10 minutes early. That's love. I appreciate that to the fullest. And for me to run everything appropriately, y'all got to see my little setup, man. I'm running the board through the iPad. I got the live stream on Facebook going on the computer. But if I try to go to the YouTube live stream, it messes everything up. So I do apologize if you comment on YouTube. Much love to you. Please share that post. I just can't physically see it, and I'm in the process of trying to upgrade now, so we'll get that fixed out. Anyway, man, life is good sometimes. Sometimes you just wake up and you feel energized, you feel focused, you feel ready, you feel determined. Today was one of those days. You know, I feel like I can take on the world today. So, shout out to you, and shout out to who is that? 6987. in the queue also. And shout out to everybody that tuned in, yesterday, just off of GP. I just felt like playing some old school music. That's where I got that song from that I just played. I just happened to stumble on going through the virtual crates, basically, and I found that joint. It's like literally it's an underground soul from the 70s. So it's pretty dope. And who is that? What is her name? Birdie Green, Return of the Prodigal Son. So if you like that song, go check her out. It's never too late to show some love. Dopeness lasts forever. And so does genius, I would like to hear your thoughts on controlling our narrative. How can we do that more holistically? How can we control our narrative where it's more encompassing and not knocking anybody else? I don't want that to be misconstrued in the slightest bit. And shout out to Mahogany. How can we control our narrative, in a more complete fashion and support it? Because there's brothers and sisters out here doing the work. And that's sometimes the problem, is that we will overlook what we deem to be not big enough because it gives us something to validate almost. I don't even know how to say it. It's like we want to complain about something. And maybe that's the problem. And myself included. And when I say we, I mean we. I'm inclusive, and I know that's a general statement, and I try to stay away from those, but it is what it is. I don't know. I had a couple of questions for the king when he gets on the line. And shout out to Queen Afi. She is y'all just don't know how much of a soldier she really is. And I'm truly, truly humbled and honored that I get to spend a little time with her on the radio show, once a week at least. Definitely a dope co-host, and more importantly, my friend. And if you know me, that means some shit to me. Anyway, and I forgot I'm supposed to promote this on. All right, bet. I just had to do that right quick. Anyway, where was we at? I kind of, since I'm still waiting on, can I play some more music since I'm still waiting on Afi? And like I said, we ain't going to get started for another 5 minutes. But if you're looking at the live stream, you can see just a little bit of the brother's work. And this is just a sampling of his resume. So if you can, jot it down, take a screenshot, do whatever you got to do, and support the king. It only works when we support each other, and that's a fact. So let me get to and y'all know, man, I'm a huge fan of Brick the Foundation. If you do not know, you haven't listened to the show. So go to www.itsmebrick.com and cop that Exodus of Revolution. Cop the program. Cop Black Fist. I think you got some T-Folk on there too, man. Go through the catalog. And oh yeah, can we get some volume on that? I think we can. And hold on one second. Here we go. Brick the Foundation in the building.
Yeah, heart is beating faster, slowly faster than master. On my body, only me, I'm the master. I'm pumping up like a rubber duck, and I'm elevating like a powerful ladder. This is my avatar state, triggered by the sun's rays. Melanation in the blaze, melanated for the blaze. Melanation, elevation, me raise elements deep beside me. That's the elephant, spirit guide me. No one let the system here to find me, man. I won't let these people here to fight me. Building well, just like gasoline. Spirit powerful like Hannibal. I got my pictures building up my nation. I hope my victor's understandable. Woo. That's the war call. We the people handle when it's war, dog. Man, I'm pie in no grand. When I lock it so grand, I could take on the world. Are you short, dog? I just feel untouchable, so untouchable. Toilet planets, man, it's very functional. These sheep are gullible, creating dysfunctional. I know the system destructible. Feel the power, ain't no time for deductibles. With my family, I'm a god on the regular. This is peace on the beat, feel the heat, getting powerful energy. On the beat, like a slap on the back to beware of attack. We eager, man, ain't no time for relaxing. Family with me, man, we building a faction. Powerful, 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 powerful.
My people got me charged, I feel so powerful. Keep nothing but that medicated sage, it's so powerful. Trying to bring a message to the people, that's so powerful. To sum it all up, if you ask me how I feel so powerful. My people got me charged, I feel so powerful. Keep nothing but that medicated sage, it's so powerful. Trying to bring a message to the people, that's so powerful. To sum it all up, if you ask me how I feel so powerful. Toes down, if you know me, ain't no turning back. No, it ain't. No retreat, no surrender, we ain't heard of it. This is revolution for the millions of the murder blacks. From the slave master to the pigs that's beating murder. Point them out. Right fist up in the sky, they ask me how I feel. I'm feeling super powerful, let's keep it real. If you ain't getting charged up by this right here, then you ain't really bout it, time to disappear. Listen here, as I board these planes, you can see they face. The black woman, the goddess on my shoulder strap, I love my race. Woo, carbon based, melanated, swear I feel so great. They need our presence in their city, well we on the way. Wait, what, like Christmas gifts? Yeah, okay, hop on the sleigh. I'll be on this mission to make a change, I tell them on delay. And the time's now, brainstorming my mind clouds, no heart system controls mine. Guess that's why I got my own style, there's a monsoon in my mental. Typhoon when I talk to y'all, black tycoon, yeah I walk with God, self-worth is at a multi-billion-dollar level, so what's the odds of me actually making a difference? I can record it, but what are y'all listening? Totally missing and won't comprehend it. In this booth rocking, I hope that they feel it, reclaiming our frequency, touching their spirit. They can feel it all in their soul, I'm feeling my shrine is made of pure gold. What up, Demani, I'm passing the torch in the world on fire, sit back, watch the glow, take a ride on the spaceship, I ozone. It's all real over here, no clones, come on. My people got me charged, I feel so powerful. Keep nothing but that medicated sage, it's so powerful. Trying to bring a message to the people, that's so powerful. To sum it all up, if you ask me how I feel so powerful. My people got me charged, I feel so powerful. Keep nothing but that medicated sage, it's so powerful. Trying to bring a message to the people, that's so powerful. To sum it all up, if you ask me how I feel so powerful.
Man, that song does it for me every time, man. I just feel just even more energized after I hear that one. Now I feel powerful. It literally just anyway. Brick the Foundation, www.itsmebrick.com, and support the King. I don't get nothing out of it. I just think he makes some dope ass music, and I try to support as much as I can. You know, and we got to do that more. You know, in every shape, fashion, and form, and myself included. You know, shout out to Dario Cluis. Shout out to blackspot.com. That's BLAQ spot.com. You see we got a couple of little shirts. If you're watching the live stream, we got a couple of little shirts on intellectuallypetty.com, some hoodies. Shout out to mrochelle.com. Who am I missing? KMLportraits.com. Oh, and who is this in the queue? I'm not sure who 3103 is, but I'm going to get to you in just 1 second. And our guest should be calling up shortly. I hope you out there listening, King. If you are, you got to press 1. What's good, fam?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing, King? Abdul?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. Who am I speaking with, King?
No, my name's Robert.
All right, where you at, bro?
Right now I'm calling out of Buffalo, New York.
That's dope. That's dope, man. It's got to be cold as hell in Buffalo.
Yeah,
the
man.
storm hit y'all yet?
Yeah. No, hit yesterday, but now it's clearing up now. It's straight. But I was gonna ask you as far as sort of like the general view of what's going on with the black culture as a whole. I kind of feel like the answer to turning things around is not in necessarily the media or not in how we're presented or any of that. I mean, that's all, if you really think about it, that's all shallow. Like what it is it's sort of changing how you view America. What I mean by that is you've got millions of people from around the world trying to get into this country. And the reason they're risking life and limb to get here is because America is a money-making land. Like, people come here to make money because this is the easiest country on the planet to make money. Once you leave America, it goes downhill from here. It gets harder to make money in other countries if you don't already have it. So I think Americans in general, this is not just white people, but just Americans in general got to realize what they actually got. You know what I mean? I feel like Americans are have become people that don't really appreciate the benefits to being American. They get too caught up in political stuff and this and that.
Oh,
and they seem to
man.
forget.
I hate to cut you off, and I really wish I had the time to debate you on that one because I thoroughly disagree on what you were saying. But I do respect you for having that opinion. But my guest is in the queue, and I don't want to keep the king waiting too long.
All right, cool.
All right. If I
Appreciate
can, I'm gonna come back to you, man. Shout out to Buffalo, man. Much love to New York, the whole state. Let me get Abdul in on the line, if you don't mind, right quick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I muted myself. Oh, and before we get the king in on the line, let me give you a little bit of this man's resume. He was in the Boys Choir of Harlem, went to the High School of Music and Arts, got a bachelor's at the School of Visual Arts, worked on Do the Right Thing, Mo Better Blues, as well as New Jack City, directed state properties, The Streets is Watching, Dead Presidents, and the resume goes on, produced music, and I know I'm probably missing a crap load of things, and I do apologize, King, if I did not do you justice, but let me not hold y'all up any further, and let me get Abdul Malik Abbott on the line. What's good, King?
What's going on? How you doing? Peace, everybody.
Peace, fam. Oh, man, life is good, man. How's your life?
Everything's gravy right now. I'm just here on the West Coast. 75-degree weather, sunny. Just went on a hike. Yes, black people do hike. Hashtag black people hike. You know what I mean? We had to start that because there was a rumor that we didn't do that, so we had to prove them wrong. But everything's good.
I know two people that hike. That's it.
Okay. Hiking is the LA version of jogging, so it's all about working out, getting that heart rate up, getting burning those calories, and seeing a nice little scenery up in the mountains.
I feel you on that. I'm pretty notoriously lazy.
Okay.
It's pretty bad, man. If it don't include a couch, man, it's hard to get me out the house, bro.
You can do that later, but it's all good. It's what you do when you're out here.
Doubt, man.
But anyway, we ain't talking about all that.
Right. We'll talk about whatever.
How we gonna jump this
take it
up?
where the conversation's gonna go.
Okay. That's it. Okay. So.
Hey, so
where do we start?
Let's start with what you got going on now. How people get in contact with you. Anything that you would like to plug. If I missed anything on your resume, let the people know who you are.
Okay. Well, I mean, I grew up humble, so I don't brag a lot. I think people who know me know that I don't brag. So, but we'll just get it going, just to get things started. On the credit tip, just where you can find me, my handle on social media is at DJ Abiab. That's a D and a J, like a DJ. ABBYAB. On Instagram at DJ Abiab, or Twitter. I don't really tweet that much, but DJ Abiab on Instagram is pretty much where you see a bunch of photos. I try to stay consistently posting photos, and I got the photos for days. That's the one thing that I would say over the years and being in the industry, and I'll get into what industry. I'm in, but just to say, it's a lot of little gems on my Instagram and on my website as well as AbdulMalikAbbott.com. That's ABDULMALIK. ABBOTT.com. If you go to that website, you'll see a bunch of stuff, and you can. If people are listening live, they can kind of surf and listen at the same time if they want to, or check it out later. But just I'm not really ready to plug new stuff now. I'd rather just take it back from the beginning, and then work my way up.
Do that.
Yeah, that sort of would make it more interesting.
First time you picked up a camera.
First time I picked up a camera. Let me tell you where the camera thing came from. My late father, God bless his soul, Randy Abbott, was a photographer from Harlem and a film teacher. He used to teach at Studio Museum of Harlem, which is still there. And so I would see him, with a camera, and he was just taking hell of photos, like a lot of photos. He was doing it. Like, he was an entrepreneur, and he had his own photo studio uptown. So that was my first introduction to cameras, just seeing that they actually existed. And then after that, I sort of just was a film buff. So it was really more noticing that it's the camera that's making these movies. So I would bring it all the way back to something like stuff in the 70s, so like Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's Spielberg. So that's Spielberg. Spielberg kind of opened my eyes. Star Wars had me open. So we'll just take it back to Star Wars 1977. That's when I realized that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I was a little kid.
I feel you on that.
So that was the introduction. I really didn't get a camera until I guess I was a teenager, and I think Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, and I was a big Star Wars nerd. So I really started filming these little short films on my bicycle. It's like I would strap the camera to my bike and shoot all these films uptown on Riverside Drive. I'm from Harlem anyways. I don't know if people know where I'm from, but I'm from Harlem, New York, raised in Harlem, hung out in Harlem, did everything in Harlem. But I wasn't stuck in Harlem. I was a New Yorker, so I was all over the place. But to get back to what I was saying, I would just do these little short films on Super 8, and I would do these little action films and, try to do your best as pretending you're a spaceship or rocket ship or whatever. And then later on, when I'm editing it, I would scratch a little laser beam onto the celluloid, because this is film, just to give the illusion that you're shooting. So I was in it as a kid. I was doing it. I don't know where those movies are. I'm a pack rat. I still have everything from back in the day, but I don't know where they are right now. But that was my introduction. It was emulating what my father was doing, and loving the craft of movies, even at a young age. That was the beginning. That was the beginning.
And the ability to be able to have something there tangible to promote the dream that you had, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, at the time, promoting was not really part of my, my vocabulary. It was just doing it, being happy with what I was doing. And also, I used to draw, illustrate, and paint. So I have two brothers and an older sister, but I was more of a loner in that way, because drawing and painting is pretty much stuff you do by yourself.
That's
so
true.
I was definitely, and I still have the artwork as well. So I was an artist, period. So I was just doing everything visual. I loved music, but at the time I wasn't doing music at all.
So when did the music come in?
The music came in when I think it was before I went to high school. So I guess we're jumping around, but I was just going to school, and one day Walter Turnbull, who was the head of the Boys Choir of Harlem, he came in and said he was looking for singers for the Boys Choir. So I don't even think I could sing very well, but I just wanted to do something. I was never a street kid. I was very, I was raised Muslim, very strict upbringing. So I definitely was not out in the street running around doing dumb stuff. So sure, I did dumb stuff as a kid, but not dumb stuff as you might think other people would be doing. So my dumb stuff was just, jumping off of rocks and climbing and doing dumb things like that, but nothing
right.
illegal. But anyway, he had came into the school. I wanted to audition. My mother said, "Okay, you can audition." So I auditioned and I got into the Boys Choir Problem. So that was my introduction to music, but it was mostly vocals. I sang soprano. Obviously, I can't do that now. My voice is nowhere near that range, but that was the beginning of it. I really did not get into actual music until I graduated from junior high school and I attended Music and Art High School. So if people don't know anything about Music and Art High School, Music and Art High School was LaGuardia High School of Music and Art, and its sister school was Performing Arts. Right now they're combined. Back then they were separate. So that movie Fame came out of Performing Arts. People who were at Music and Art. Yeah. There's a lot of famous people who came out of Music and Art. And at the time, hip-hop was just jumping off. So I was like the hip-hop kid who wasn't a hip-hop head yet because it was just starting. So, I was never a rapper, but, I always had a rhythm. So I would be the dude amongst other dudes banging on the lunchroom table or on the locker room, on the lockers, just making a beat while other people who could rap were out there rapping. So I went to school with Dana Dane, Slick Rick, and cats like that. So I let them do the
man,
rapping.
are you serious, bro?
Yeah. So
Dana Dane is very underrated, by the way.
Dana Dane is out here in L.A. He's doing his thing. I ran into him a couple months ago.
That's pretty dope.
And he's got a show. I think he's got I don't know if it's a web show with his wife, but he's just look up Dana Dane. He's doing stuff right now.
I'm gonna have to do that.
But yeah, Slick Rick, I haven't seen Rick in a while, but we were like friends, and I didn't even really know he was British or anything like that. I knew he was a rapper, and he was pretty good at that time. So this is way back in the late 70s, early 80s, or something like that. So I was friendly with Slick Rick, and he gave me like the first like nudie magazine. I was like, oh, okay. I never had one. I mean, I've seen them, but I never owned my own. And I remember he came to the house one time when my mother wasn't there. She's like, don't bring anybody to the house. I don't like that. But I remember this rap that he said, and that was like over 40 years ago. But or maybe 30, I forgot. Yeah, I can't do this math anymore. But he had this crazy rap called "Pussy Ain't Nothing But Skin and Bone. You fuck it, you suck it, you leave it alone." Now, I remember that from high school. I was like, "Oh, that dude is cool." So anyway, that's my Slick Rick story. But he's all
dope,
facts,
bro.
He's all facts. But yeah, so back to high school, that's where I was introduced to music. It was a variety of music because it was a mixed high school. It wasn't just black kids. It was everybody. It was white kids, Hispanic kids, whatever, just all melted together. So, it was the time when people were like, disco sucks and all that stuff. But, I grew up in a family that loved music. So I was always listening to music. And we're talking about the best music, which is the Marvin Gaye's and the Earth, Wind and Fire and Isaac Hayes and Parliament Funkadelic. Yeah, so my uncle and my aunt and my grandma was playing James Brown. So, I got to hear all the best music, period. As a musician now, I know that's the best music now. But back then, it was the cool music because the parents were listening to it. So the only music that was, quote unquote, my music was hip hop that was just coming out. So I really got into hip hop, obviously, with Rapper's Delight. I don't know who would not have gotten to hip hop with Rapper's Delight, but that was the introduction.
Yeah.
But see, I also knew the original song, which was Good Times, because we were jamming that song with the family since Good Times was like V's jam. So when I heard the beat, then I was like, okay, this is something to pay attention to. Even though later on I knew about the controversy that they just jacked that beat and got sued for it by Chic, but that was my introduction. Yeah. So it pretty much just was a natural thing for me, music, that I wasn't playing music. I was still an artist. I was still drawing. I was still painting. So I went to music and art for 4 years, not really 100% getting into much music production, but sticking with the art, which was the painting and the illustration. And eventually I wanted to get that film stuff popping. So at first I was taking Saturday classes at School of Visual Arts, which is a college in New York, and they would have these free classes, and I was studying animation. So I would be doing animation where you draw everything. And that was so tedious and time-consuming, and doing stop-motion animation. So I'm doing all these things just to be a filmmaker, because you can take your action figures. I don't know if you guys were into that, but you take your action figures, and you can move them a little bit here, and then but it would take days to just move your action figure across the screen for like 4 seconds. It could take 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So after that, I was like, okay, I got to try a better way to make a movie. So that's when I started really focusing on dealing with live action with people and doing stuff like that. So that's my short story of just how I got into the arts. It was by the time I went to high school, I was done with the Boys Choir of Harlem. But in turn, my mother started working at the Boys Choir of Harlem, so I always knew about what was going on with them and staying with them on the outside, but was always involved with them somehow or another.
So how do you go from the Boys Choir of Harlem to directing state property? Oh
man, that's a big journey.
That is a big journey. Let me narrow that down a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. How about
you start out editing, right?
Yeah, I mean, how deep you want to go? Obviously, this is not a biography show, so you got to let me know what information you want me to share. But let's just say college.
It is a biography show if you like it to be, bro. Like I say, we talk about whatever.
Okay, so I'm gonna focus on the importance of school and the importance of college. So when I was in college, I pretty much knew what I wanted to do. Here's a little funny story. I was very good at art, obviously, because I wasn't doing art for so long, but I wasn't really good at writing scripts or anything like that. So to get into School of Visual Arts, which was the college, you had to write a script and a biography of whoever you wanted to write it on. So I wrote it on Steven Spielberg, and I think I wrote a script and whatever. And I applied, and I didn't get in. And I was like, well, dang, I wanted to go to this school because I was already taking classes on Saturday anyway, so I was very familiar with the school, and I had some friends who were going, so I wanted to go. So I reapplied as an artist, and I got in. So when I went to go pick my classes, for whatever reason, the paperwork was screwed up, and they said, hey, you're here for film, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm here for film. So I picked all the film classes that I wanted anyway and didn't take any art classes, and got in and started working, started attending as a film student. Eventually they found out, like maybe 3 months in or 2 months in, but it was too late. I was like, I already bought all my books and, already started all the classes. So then they were like, all right, well, they're going to put you on like some sort of notice. So if you got to keep a good grade average, or we're going to bump you to another department. So obviously I kept a good grade average. But the most important thing that really happened for me in college was doing internships in the summer. So like after my first year, I started interning as a PA, production assistant, for those who want to know what that is. And that's like the gopher type of person. So the first movie I ever worked on was Chain Letters, independent film, and I know The Office was in Soho. It was not a big movie. I don't even think I ever saw the movie, but that was the first introduction to actual production and professional filmmaking. So here I am, black kid, and keep in mind, I am the only person of color on most of these jobs, and we're gonna get back to that. That's gonna translate to today, but we'll just stick with then. I'm talking about in the 80s, I guess. So I'm the only black person on set. Period. There might be one Asian person, whatever, but it was a rarity. I was like a novelty, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I'm doing this while I'm in school or on school break. I don't even think I'm getting paid. I'm getting credit, school credit. And so I met this one person who was doing sound. Her name was Barbara Zom, this woman who was doing sound. She was nice enough to show me what the sound is, sound recording. So I started to just oh, that's kind of cool. That's a job that, when I was taking sound in school, I hated sound. It was technical, it was boring, it was geeky. But I just put that little check mark, okay, sound might be cool. So I stayed in contact with her, and this is an important scenario when you come to filmmaking is building your team, building contacts, building mentors. So, she wasn't particularly a mentor, but she was teaching me a few things here and there while I was a PA. And I still knew her, so that was something that, helped once I was done with that movie, and I still went to school. So during school, that's pretty much all I did. It was just go to school, and during the summer I would either intern on movies or I started to work at different centers that were teaching people filmmaking. So I started at, or video actually. It wasn't film, it was video. It was a place called Downtown TV Community Center, DC TV. I was an intern there, and then that's where I started learning how to edit. So that's an important place because we were just doing documentaries, but I always had this rhythm when it came to editing, and the love of music kept popping up. And guess what else just popped up? MTV popped up. So here we go. There's MTV, this new thing. And that's pretty much changed my life. MTV pretty much changed my life because it was music and it was visuals. So with that new genre of music videos in front of me, I was just, always watching TV, always watching MTV. And they didn't really have a lot of black artists. They didn't really have a lot of black artists on MTV, but to me, it was like I wasn't stuck in one genre. Keep in mind, I went to music and art with a whole lot of other people, so I got to hear who Led Zeppelin was, or who The Who was, or Kiss, or these other artists that I was like, well, you wouldn't have known about these people if you just listened to WBLS or whatever. But so I'm getting all this knowledge. And then MTV just opened it all up. But in the meantime, Prince had came out, and, I'm listening to Prince because my sister liked Prince, and I wanted to be like, well, my sister likes Prince, and I should like Prince. So I'm all,
you was
Prince
dressing like Prince, bro?
No. That would not have worked. That wouldn't work. That would not have worked. I did say I lived in Harlem, so keep that in mind. It wasn't as open as it is now. So no, didn't do that. But in the meantime, I'm just opening. I am opening my mind to different styles of music and stuff, and MTV pretty much did that for me. So as we go through the college years, I'm learning everything. Now there's more to filmmaking today. Is a little different. People just pick up their phone and start shooting stuff, and they say they're a director, but you're really not. But who says you're not really? If you think about it, I just directed it with my cell phone. But is it good? It's hard to tell. But I'm studying everything: film theory, film production, writing, editing, sound, camera, anything you can think of. They're teaching it at the school. So I was very blessed and lucky to go to this school, and it was an expensive school too. So thank God my mother was working and she helped. And I'm officially a mama's boy, but not in a negative way. It's just that I love and respect my mother. So
Nothing
big
wrong
up to
with that,
Aisha
bro.
Fareed. Big up to Aisha Fareed for seeing the vision and believing in me, because, you know, it's a long shot to say you want to be a filmmaker so early on when it's not a lot of black people who are doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you think of the time period, the black exploitation time period was over. So there's not a lot of movies that you could really say black people made at the time. But in my senior year, this cat from Brooklyn named Spike Lee did a movie. She's Gotta Have It. And I was like, oh, who's this guy? He looks like me, but he's short, you know, but, you know, he's doing it. After I saw She's Gotta Have It, I was like, oh, okay, I might be onto something. So that's pretty much the spark. So I would always say Spike Lee just gave me that extra kick, saying, okay, you can do it. We can do it. Someone who looks like they're from the hood or has that aura about him of this coolness or whatever. You know, he was doing a character, Mars Blackman, but still, he was still street and identifiable.
Right.
So, to me, that gave me the fuel to really stay on that journey. Even though I wasn't discouraged, he just helped just by doing that one film. Because I was already, you know, like I said, I was already a senior in college by the time that movie came out. So,
man, that's a classic too.
We just getting started with this story, but where do we go from there? So I'm just going to go in order. How about that?
All right. Let's
so
go.
in the meantime, I'm directing my student films, and everything I direct has a vibe to it. Like, it's always cool. It always has good music. It has hip hop into it, interwoven into the story, and that's where I came up with the character Abby Ab. It was actually supposed to be MC Abby Ab and my cousin. It was supposed to be MC Abby Ab and DJ Ali D. So we were like doing a Run DMC type of thing. We didn't even rap in the movie. We just made a cameo in my student film. But for some reason, as I got a little older, it turned into DJ Abby Ab. So that's where the DJ Abby Ab came from. It was just a character I made up for a short film.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of things started to change when Terrorist 1 came out with Boogie Down Productions, and things really changed when Public Enemy came out for me, because it had a different energy and a different swag to it. Yeah. And like I said, I wasn't a street kid at all, but to me, they were cursing. And I was like, yo, I love it. I love it. They're cursing on the records. So, I remember when Rebel Without a Pause came out. It was just this noisy record, and I was just loving that record. And it just sort of gave me like this energy to keep incorporating hip-hop into everything I do. And so, I was a hip-hop head, but I also liked Culture Club. I liked Michael Jackson, but I liked hip-hop. So that was one of the things that was making me move forward and opening my eyes to different communities that I might not have really wanted to get into. But in the meantime, I'm meeting all these people. So here's the journey. I'm working while I'm in college, I'm working at Gulf Coast and Tortilla Flats, and that's on the west side. I don't think they're there anymore, but, I met this cat named Dante Ross. He was like a busboy or a waiter, I forgot. He was the one who introduced me to Public Enemy. I don't know if anyone knows who Dante Ross is, but he's big. He's a big person in the hip-hop game when it came to Tommy Boy and Tommy Boy Records and promotion and all the stuff that he did. I think he was doing A&R, but that's just someone I was friends with. Okay, that was someone I was friends with. So if you can get online, people just look up Dante Ross. He and I were just working at the same restaurant. He introduced me to Public Enemy. So I always remember that. And I thought he was talking about a different band. I thought he was talking about Public Image Limited, which was a rock band. But he was like, oh, no, this band is dope. And I was like, he was like a white boy who was just real hip hop. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out, and that's how I got introduced to Public Enemy, through someone else who was into hip hop as well.
Wow.
And then another person I was introduced to who would do really good, and we were both all working at the same restaurant and hanging out in the same area, was a cat named Paul Vincent. I was friends with him, but his brother was Mark Vincent. His brother's name is Mark Vincent, but his brother is actually, it's Vin Diesel. So, but at the time it was just Mark Vincent. So we became friends, and he had this aspiration of doing it all. Like he wanted to, I don't even think he wanted to be a rapper. I think he just wanted to be an actor. And, you know, I put him in a couple of promos I was doing. I took Vin Diesel's first headshots. Well, his name wasn't Vin Diesel, it was Mark. So
wait a minute, so you took
Vin
Diesel's first headshots. That's dope.
Yeah, I still got all this stuff. I took all his first headshots. He was just like a cool cat, you know. He was very street. Like I thought he was Puerto Rican or something, because he had that Puerto Rican vibe about him, or black, but he looked Puerto Rican, so I thought he was Puerto Rican. So I would hang out with him, and we'd be chopping it up. He wanted to do movies, and he wanted to do a short film, but he just didn't have any money to do it. So, you know, at the time, there was no digital filmmaking where you just grab a camera and do it. You had to get film, which means you got to buy the film, you got to rent the camera, you got to process it, you got to edit the negative. So it was not as easy as it is now. But I always remember, like, we really, really wanted to do this movie, and the movie was really about him getting girls and all this stuff. So, you know, I'm just telling that to just give you history of the people who I met on this journey. And this is when I think I just graduated too, so I was still trying to find my way of what was next on the journey. So the next step on this journey is I got hired to do this documentary on the Boys Choir of Harlem. So I traveled with them overseas, went to Paris, went to England, drove around France for like a couple of weeks on the bus with these kids and shot this documentary. And that was my introduction to documentaries on a professional level. And came back, cut that together. But it was more for a promo for them. It wasn't, you know, never went on the air or anything like that. So I wasn't really feeling that, because I was doing everything myself, shooting it, carrying that camera around, messed my back up. So I was like, all right, I need to, like, really get focused. What's next? So I started just being a PA again, which, you know, in reality, that's you paying your dues. So I PA'd on the Equalizer. I don't know if you remember that show. Denzel did the movie The Equalizer, but there was a TV show, The Equalizer. So I was just a parking PA. So I was a parking PA, which was not a good job, but it was a job that paid. So the parking PAs, for those who don't know what that is the people in New York get in your car, you park it where they're going to park the trucks or the location. You put cones out, and you put tape on the cones, and you take over the block so no one could park there. So you would do 12-hour shifts overnight before the production comes. And you know how hard it is to hold parking spots in New York? It is difficult. So, you know, that means you got to stay up late. I mean, you don't sleep. You just up overnight. So I did that for a little while just to make some money. But in the meantime, I was like, that is not what I went to 4 years of college for. So I had to figure out what was next. So as I'm trying to figure it out, and, you know, I have different little people that I stay in contact with. And, you know, I'm dabbling in sound here and there because, remember, I had met that person who sort of mentored me. So I'm dabbling in it, like, I'm not doing much. And then one day I go on the shoot I was supposed to be the assistant camera person on a low-budget, no-budget project. And when I got there, they thought I was the sound guy. Because there was another sound guy. There was another person who was supposed to be a sound guy. His name was Charles Hunt. He turned out to be, he'll end eventually being a friend of mine. But since it was only, like I kept saying, not a lot of black people in this business, when I showed up, they thought I was him.
Right.
It was like, well, Charles is black. Yeah, maybe you're Charles. But no, I wasn't. I was an assistant camera, and Charles came eventually, and, you know, we became friends or friendly at the time. And I said, oh, I never met a black sound guy before. So I wanted to work with him. So we eventually worked on like an MTV promo. I was the boom operator, and he was the sound mixer. He was just getting started. I think he was a couple years older than me, but he was just getting started. So we started working together. We happened to meet this one black grip. You know what that is? People who work the equipment. And he was like, oh, yeah, there's this movie coming up. They're looking for a sound department, and there's a black sound department. Where did you get that from? So he kind of introduced us to this production of this movie called Death by Temptation. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it was called Temptation at the time, but it was Death by Temptation. It was like a black vampire movie. And so we got hired on that. And that was a tough job because it was very low budget, but it shot all over Brooklyn. I didn't really have any big stars. The biggest star in it was Sam Jackson, but he wasn't a big star at the time.
Right.
He was just Sam Jackson. And, you know, right now he's Samuel L. Jackson, but back then he was Sam Jackson. So he did a couple days on that. But the couple things that came out of that is Ernest Dickerson, who was Spike Lee's cinematographer, was shooting that movie. So I got to work with Ernest, and I knew who Ernest was. I was like, oh, he works with Spike. He's the bomb. And then there was another person who I friended on that movie. Her name was Darnell Martin, who was an assistant camera person, like second assistant camera person. And she would go on to do big things. So Darnell Martin, we'll circle around to that later, but just look up Darnell Martin. She's like she ended up being the first African-American director to get a major motion picture. I think it was I Like It Like That was the movie. And then she went on to do what else she did? I should have remembered her resume, but she did some big movies and TV shows. But anyway, I became friends with her.
King, if you want to take a caller.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's take a caller.
Halfway through the show. I'm sorry to cut the story off, but hold on 1 second.
I could talk a lot, so let's go.
We're going to get to 2564 real quick. What's good, fam?
Salute, PFK Boom. What's up, Joe?
What's going on, Boom? How you doing, man? 300 gangsters in the building.
You already know. How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
That's what it is. First of all, I wanted to definitely call in 300 gangsters. Definitely listen. We're in Baltimore. And definitely listening to a brother such as yourself, where we hear your grind and your hustle that you had to get there. A lot of people be able to jump over the ropes, and we salute anybody got a book bag hustle, and I respect that. Definitely.
Appreciate it.
Definitely, what I wanted to say though, like coming out of Baltimore, Baltimore being like a real, as you know, a lot of people like David Simon and them came and, they keep it one lane, extorting a lot of movies that come and, let's say, portray, like The Wire. Every time we say we from Baltimore, that's all somebody think we some wire cats, you know what I mean, which we 10 times
right.
can go that way, or we can go 10 times less and go the degree way. They'll never show, I hear the movies in the lanes you were in. What I wanted to know is, like in Baltimore, right, we got a lot of people who do such as the work that you do from a ground standpoint, but what happens is they get into a who loan you, own you situation where you see on the flyer Joseph, where you see they try to control the narrative. Usually your narrative starts off real good in your basement, which is very strong, but by the time it hit the screen, it's all watered down, nothing what you wanted. What type of overstanding would you maybe give on that? Because, in reference to 300 Gangsters, we pretty much own everything we touch. So you're not going to get a story out of no man's unit or out of my city if I can prevent it. So what I try to do is, like, what would you suggest for a person? Because I would think the more that you would, keep your own, buy your own camera, do whatever you got to do, you would have, not say a freedom, but maybe a more or less having to ask, I guess.
I think right now it sounds like you're controlling everything. So I think if you're not asking for anyone to pay for anything, which it doesn't sound like you are, I think your only place that you might have some sort of pushback on the content is their distribution. So if you're handling your distribution as well, which is hard to do sometimes, that might be the only obstacle. But it sounds like you pretty much have it all together in a way where you can basically control your narrative, control the output of what you're putting out there. If you're trying to get some sort of distribution, whether it's streaming or if you're trying to do the theatrical, those are two different things. But if you have a streaming service in mind that could do pay-per-view, video on demand, then you kind of don't need the middleman at all.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I think it sounds like you already have everything together. You know what I mean?
Pretty much. I'm thinking on distribution like this. If I know at least a couple 30,000 or more in 50-something states, I don't think I really we don't really need that. We going to stay with the urban community.
Built in, though, bro.
Yeah. So I was just hearing from a brother, who's already been there, and hearing it from his lane. It does sound like, we can go that way, and we more like the message than the money. So if it didn't make $1, we don't care. The message got out to 30 million. We don't care nothing. So that's another thing.
Right.
So we're not putting no. We put messages out. We don't put money captures and box office. No, we ain't about that. So that's
right. Well, it seems like I said, it seems like you have everything together. So it's really about whatever platform you want to showcase it, whether it be a website, YouTube, or Vimeo, or Amazon Video on Demand.
Gotcha.
You pretty much can just choose however you want to showcase your project. And I think the biggest hurdle is to advertise it and let people know it's there, so they can go to it. Joe got that. No. Okay.
No doubt. I got y'all, bro.
No doubt. Already. I salute. I thank you for
man.
the time on the air, man. Thank you for the the confirmation. And we all we got. We all we need. 300 gangsters. Salute.
All right. Peace out.
Man. No doubt.
Okay. That's what's up.
And we got another caller in the queue. But he brought that's an interesting point. Because it seems like on the one hand, like making movies now has become a lot more simplified, and that would bother me if I went to school for years or put in decades worth of work to learn my craft, and somebody can now do it in X amount of time. That would bother me. But on the other hand, it's added to our ability to control what we put out, what visuals we put out.
Right.
So where would you stand on that? Do you think that it's given us more opportunities, or it's watered down the craft, or can it be both?
You just kind of answered it. So it is definitely both. I'm not going to pretend, and it will be really disingenuous to say that it doesn't bother me. So yes, it bothers me that I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars at film school to learn the craft, for it to now just be something that people just say, hey, I'm doing this and I'm doing it. But the thing is, you can say you're doing it, but when it comes down to the professional world, there's two worlds. There's a few worlds out there, but there is a professional world, and then there's an amateur world. The difference now between the professional and the amateur world is they have collided and intertwined. So, you can have amateur projects that are getting all these hits, and whoever put it up could be making some money because all these hits, but it's still amateur. Now, you try to put that in the theater, and you want people to drop $12, $13, $15 on it, good luck. That's not going to really happen. So, yes, for people now have a very good market to have your amateur project viewed by multiple people who might not be able to have done that 10 years ago, but YouTube helped that. But in reality, you're still an amateur. Your content is amateurish. You put it up against Black Panther or whatever. That's the movie of the day. But you put it up against that, there's no. So it's the worlds have collided. But if you're trying to make a living or a career, you still have to study your craft, because when there's millions of dollars on the table, people aren't going to really stand for that.
Yeah, that's true. And before I get to this other caller, man, I want to let people know you tune in to My Skin is My Sin on Blog Talk Radio. From goons to gods, we welcome everyone. We only have one rule, and that's be respectful. I'm going to get to 5722, and then we're going to kind of skip back to the story a little bit.
Yep.
What's good, Sam?
Greetings in the name of the Father, Holy Spirit. I am Pastor Don Jr., CEO of the Entertainment Worldwide Network, based in sunny Las Vegas. Our network has 1.5 million listeners. I'm celebrating my 20th anniversary, and I'm on fire, man. I got a confirmation bell, and I love the way y'all hosting the show, keeping it real, but keeping it real civil. Even though things might not agree with y'all platform, y'all giving people an opportunity to speak, and that's power to the people. At the same time, you making everybody feel equal. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm happy that my interns gave me the stuff, man. Hey, how y'all doing? I want to impart in the conversation.
All right.
Like, man, you kicked in the door, bro. Like, that's dope, though.
All right.
I appreciate that. That's kind of, that's our thing, man. We're not going to agree on everything, and I'm not going to pretend to agree. I disagree with everybody on everything. I ain't got to yell at you and call you out your name, no.
Well,
okay.
I got to keep it 100, man, and I am so happy because God, nothing happens by chance. I have 300 winning team members. Yeah, I have 300 gangsters, and we got a movie called 300 with Leonidas. He was fighting millions of people. In the Bible, we had Gideon with the 300. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's the only shape that can't be broken. Keep it moving. When you said what you just said a minute ago about the professionals and amateurs is all mending together, well, the biggest Ku Klux Klan member is listening to Lil Wayne at 3 o'clock in the morning because of Steve Jobs and the iPod. Keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are changing the world because of y'all on voice recognition. Every time y'all, it's spirit, wind, and vibration. I am so thankful that y'all make show number 717. I've been on a mission to I have a $4.5 million initiative to buy 22 abandoned buildings, highest crime, highest violence, no media coverage. But before I start buying all these buildings, I need to hear from the people. As a pastor, I can't run like that. Now, we talked about black film. Now, when I heard what was said, we had a situation where people blew up overnight when they did the Blair Witch Project in 1991. Right around the time the internet just caught in. So it's one of them situations that was happening. Soldier Boy happened, and it never happens again. Well, the civil rights movement happened, but what y'all doing right now, y'all are planning time capsules in the digital age, and y'all are so powerful. I love the way y'all go from goons to gods. It's powerful. In the Bible, it teaches us in Genesis, it says, let us make God in our image. These people are gods. You're going to bring life into them, but these are gods because we preach the word of God. And that's why Isaiah says, precious is preach the word of God because it's the spirit, wind, and vibration. So I say to y'all are ahead of y'all time. Y'all not going to understand all the stuff I'm going to say. Y'all going to have to replay it 45 times. But what y'all doing right now, y'all going to change the world forever. And by y'all dealing with world changers at 300 goons to gods, I support it. I endorse it. I am Pastor Don Jr., CEO, Entertainment Worldwide Network. I'm here.
Gotcha.
I got a pad and a pen. I'm taking notes. I love what y'all doing.
Salute, King, man.
All right.
Definitely appreciate that, man.
Okay, thanks for calling in.
No doubt.
Okay. Okay.
That was dope.
Yep. Okay. Well, I know we're on the time limit, so I'm gonna push the story a little forward just to save some time.
All right.
Unless I don't know, the show is 2 hours, so I don't want to. I'm squishing 30 years of 25 years of my life into 2 hours. But,
man, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is, but it's all good. I like sharing. Hopefully, it's entertaining but educational. So let's keep it moving. So in the meantime, after I worked on that movie with my man Charles Hunt, I have met more people, and the biggest thing I always like to tell people is you build a community. So I'm building a community of different people that I'm meeting from, and it's not just black people. It's just everybody, different positions. My man Charles Hunt met his wife on the show that we were working on the movie. So Charles Hunt met Christina Norman. They got married a little later. I was hanging out with my friend Darnell Martin, who I mentioned before. We weren't dating, we were just friends, but she went on to, then the Spike Lee connection came around, where after we finished that movie, they were shooting Do the Right Thing. And my man Charles Hunt went to work on that, but he went in as the third person in the sound department. So they already had a sound department. They didn't even know who we were at the time. But he went and worked on that. I was left out. Actually, a lot of my friends from that movie went to work on Do the Right Thing. So I knew they were shooting it in Brooklyn, but I wasn't working on it. But, I remember driving out there one day to visit the set and saw them shooting. I was like, I want to work on this movie. And for whatever luck happened is my man got another offer to work on some shoot in Africa. And they needed to replace him. And I stepped in, so that's how I got to work on Do the Right Thing. But then that was the beginning of everything, working on Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. So there I met everybody, Martin Lawrence, Sam Jackson, Rosie Perez, Darnell was on it. Another person who would turn out to be a good friend of mine is Millicent Shelton, who is now a huge TV director. She did one movie called Ride. Malik was in it, but she's a big TV director now. Mike Ellis, it was so many people on that job, from acting, Movie D, and all those people. So that's where I created.
That's phenomenal.
The synergy. So even now, Ruth Carter, who just did Black Panther costume, she was the wardrobe. What's her costume designer? She was on Do the Right Thing. Robbie Reed, who was phenomenal casting director, now she's at BET, and all these people who are just almost legendary were on this movie. So I was just like, I am so glad to be here. It was a tough shoot, I ain't gonna lie, but it was in one spot. It was one block in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. So every day, I still lived up in Harlem. I'd drive my little hoopty down, pick up Darnell Martin, then drive to Brooklyn, do the shoot, drop her off, go back home, same thing every day. So make a long story short, knock that movie out. But in the meantime, I'm seeing my friends who have these smaller jobs on the shoot start to get their head right on what they really wanted to, which was directing. So, so I'll focus on two people, which was Darnell Martin and Millicent Shelton. They were focusing on directing. So they went to NYU graduate school and started honing their craft. In the meantime, I'm just hustling, doing what I need to do, not hustling drugs, hustling on set,
I feel you.
doing different gigs. And no knock to the hustlers. I knew plenty of hustlers, so that's just a whole nother story. Like I said, I'm from Harlem, so that's the spot. But there was no knock on that. It was just like I took a different route. So in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out my lane. So so sound is cool, but it ain't cool. It's not a cool position. But in the meantime, I got to pay the bills. So, make a long story short, as my peers, as I call them, or out in school, they went ahead and started to work on other movies with Spike. So I think after we did the Fight the Power video, so I did sound on Fight the Power with Public Enemy. So I was like, yes, that was the beginning of me loving hip hop was Public Enemy. So now I'm working with Public Enemy, but I'm not the director. I'm just doing sound. So I always had always had something down the road that I'm looking for. So, everything's going on in New York. And then I was like, okay, music videos are really starting to pop off. And what was going on in the music video world is that there's just production companies here and there, but not black production companies. There's a lot of white production companies. And no knock on white production companies. It's just that there were no black ones. So slowly there were going to be some black production companies popping up. But in the meantime, a lot of these artists in New York were starting to do music videos because, Music Video Box was just coming out.
Oh,
BET,
man, that was right here.
Yeah, BET was playing some videos. MTV was dabbling in some black artists. So there was a lot of black artists coming out of the East Coast, basically New York. And even though there's a lot of production companies that were white and white directors and whatever, they would hire a black sound person, which is me, to at least try to make the artist feel a little comfortable. Because, you know, most hip-hop heads, hip-hop artists were really just coming out of the streets, you know, and suddenly it's like they're in a whole nother world. So at least I was there to at least, to give them the visuals of a comfort level. Plus, I'm controlling their song because I'm doing the playback, so I'm playing the music.
Right.
So they still have a connection with me because they're connected to the music, and I'm playing the music and setting up the time code and all that stuff. So that was my introduction to, like, doing stuff outside of the Spike Lee world and the movie stuff, which is this music video world, which I loved. So I was just there. So I would be working with any artist that is from New York in that time period of 90s, late 80s, 90s. I probably worked on at least any artist you name, I've worked on it, almost. I would say about 90% of those artists, I would just go from one job to the next job to the next. From everybody from Kumo D to Heavy D to I can't even remember. It's so many people.
What was Kumo
just
D
going
like?
from one. Kumo D was cool, literally. Like a lot of artists were just, but a lot of artists were, you know, they would how their name was, you know, if you name yourself cool, you gotta be cool. You know, LL Cool J was cool. I worked on so many LL videos. You know, I wish this was a documentary. I could just show you all these photos of just being on like the set with, you know, LL and even Cool OG and, you know, all these people. And you know, since I'm in one place when I'm on the set with my little sound department, I would just take pictures or take videos. I would have the stuff. I would have receipts for these jobs that I'm doing. So I know I'm going a little out of order, but I'm still in the vibe of the music video world. So, but staying in my lane, I'm doing all the music video stuff. I'm meeting a lot of people. I got called to work on Mo Better Blues, so they hired me to do the playback because I was doing playback now with all these music videos. So the band in the movie, which is Denzel and Bill Nunn, rest in peace, and Giancarlo Esposito and Wesley Snipes, they didn't really play music except for the drummer played music, but that was all playback. So I was in charge of playing back the music for the band in Mo Better Blues, among other things in the sound department. So, you know, friends with Wesley, hung out a few times, and you know, was friendly with Denzel. So, you know, he was a huge star, but he was just, you know, and Wesley was really cool. Like, he would have parties. He had his brown. So those were the good. And you know, I'm working with the same people like Robbie Reed again, and Ruth Carter, and you know, everyone who went from Mo Better, from Do the Right Thing, minus some of the stars, but a lot of the crew went on to Mo Better Blues. So it was a family. And so, you know, everything was just pretty much cool, except for, only thing that didn't happen was the friends who I had made friends with who were going to college, which I was calling my peers. They were still in college, so they didn't work on that. But, you know, I met other people, some other peers that I'm still friends with now, like Jeff Bird, who's a great director, and Van Hayden, who's an excellent assistant director. The list goes on and on. I'm trying to drop names just out of respect. But after that, that's when I really decided I wanted to really start directing. Couldn't figure out how I was going to do it, but I knew I had to start to get creative. So after I did that, I worked on, did playback again on the Keith Sweat scene in New Jack City. So I worked on that for a little bit, met a few people, and then I was really focused. Like I was still doing the playbacks, but I wanted to just work on music videos because they're quick, they paid very well. But I wanted to edit as well because I wanted to be creative. And the editing is important. So at the time, my friend Millicent Shelton had graduated from NYU at the time, and she started a production company with Herbie Lovebug from Salt and Pepper Camp, and it's called Idol Makers. And she just asked me to edit something because she knew I can edit, but I never edited a music video before. So she was directing, and she owned the company. And I think it was a Kwame video. If you remember Kwame, it was either Kwame or Salt. Yeah, so I think it was Kwame. So my first music video was Kwame. And I don't remember the name of the song. It might have been One of the Big Boys or something like that. But anyway, that was like my introduction to the creative part in the music video world. It was working for Millicent. And did the Kwame video, learned some stuff because she had a way of editing that she wanted me to do it. So, you know, like, okay, I got to learn. So did that. Then I started editing for a few other directors because now black people are starting to take control of the narrative, which is the title of this. So there was Black and White TV popped up. There was Idol Makers. There was Classic Concepts. There was Shoot Tease Drop, Hex Films. So there was these companies that have black directors now. And within that, we are now hiring qualified black crew because in reality, we weren't getting hired even though there were people out there wanting to do these jobs, but they weren't getting hired. So now we're sort of being allowed, I guess you could still say that, we are being allowed to control the narrative, write the concepts, direct the videos, have the stylist and the wardrobe. You know, it was popping at one point. It was building. It wasn't popping yet. It's going to pop, but it was just building. So we're building this community, music video community with all those production companies and people just getting their shot at doing stuff. In the meantime, I want to direct, but I don't have a lane. I couldn't figure out how I'm going to do this. So, but I'm like, okay, but I can edit though. So I'm getting hired by all these different directors who I'm meeting. Paris Barkley was another director who started a production company called Black and White TV. He was doing a lot of these hip-hop videos, these rap videos, and his biggest video that just came out of nowhere was Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. So that video took him over the top. So in the meantime, you know, I'm there, I'm doing playback, and I'm editing some of his videos. I didn't edit that one, but I was on the set, so I took video of that. So I got video of the Mama Said Knock You Out video. So I'm doing these edits, and then eventually, you know, you make these contacts with the video commissioner, which is the salesperson for the record label. And I befriended one. The video commissioner? Yeah, the video commissioner is a person who works for the record label who, let me give you a little lesson on how these things used to work. I don't know how they work now, but you would have whoever, you might have A&R, but you have a video commissioner. That's the person who's in charge of the music video. So they would send out a sort of like a blast to a few directors or maybe a bunch of directors to submit treatments. And if they like treatment for that song, for that artist, submit a budget. They pick you. Then they'll choose you and then you shoot the video. And they'll just be there on set to make sure you're not messing up. And you're getting what you said you were going to get because the treatment is based on your contract. You said you're going to have the person do this with that, and the other. You got to do it. You know, a lot of times you do have to cut stuff, but they're there to approve it, or they're there to approve an overage so you can keep shooting or overtime or whatever. So anyway, I after working on a bunch of videos, by then I'm working all the time. I had befriended Ann Carly, who was at Jive Records. At the time, Will Smith was popping over there. He was still, you know, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. But they had a little spin-off group called Too Many out of Philly. And, you know, they had a little budget. I mean, little budget was like maybe $15,000 or something like that. That's little. Nowadays, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do something with that. But back then, that was pretty little. So that was but she knew me as a sound person, and then I gave her my editing reel, and she's like, oh, you're a good editor, so all right, I'm going to give you a shot. So she gave me a shot at my first video. So my first video, had the group Too Many. It was like a fun backpack video with the hats in the back. They had, colorful clothes.
Right.
And that's when the Cross Colors was hot. So I shot this elaborate video where all these kids from Philly came in and all this stuff. But the one person we couldn't bring in from Philly because he was always busy was Will Smith or the Fresh Prince because it was his group. So we had to take a little tiny crew, and we drove out to Philly and shot Will Smith a couple of lines for the video. So, my first video had, the Fresh Prince in it. So that was that's big.
Right. That's dope.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm blessed. So the video came out and was on BET. It was on, I don't think it was on MTV, but it was on all the urban stations. And then that was it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna win. But then nothing happened. So, because they were pop. They weren't like hardcore or anything like that. They were pops. This was like 92 or 93. So I went back to what I went back to what I was doing, and which was still a lot. I was still doing playback, and I was still editing. So I'm getting my editing skills up big time. And what was happening then, it was like I would double dip on these jobs. I would do playback, and then I would edit the video. So I was getting 2 checks. So I was okay, but my journey was still to be a director. So let me speed this up a little bit. So the next video I did was for Abby Lincoln, and Abby Lincoln is so far away from hip hop and R&B because Abby Lincoln is a jazz legend. It's like she was in. I
checked out one of the videos today.
Yeah. So that was something that was just me doing me as a director because there was no stress, there was no posse. There's all these little funny stories about the posse coming on set and eating all the food and acting up. So there was none of that. I had like kids in it and a fake jazz band. It was strictly jazz. So I did that video, and that was through Verve Records, and that was just a fun job. That really didn't advance my career too much because it was jazz, and I don't even know where it played. It played in Europe. It didn't really play here. But just work with a jazz legend, and I actually worked with her on Mo Better Blues. She was in the beginning of the movie playing Bleek's Denzel's mom when it was a young Denzel. But that had nothing to do with the job. It was just a connection. So I did that video. So now I got 2 videos on my reel, and then went on with my life. And then suddenly something happened where someone was like, okay, I'm meeting a new person on the set, and it was another video commissioner, Michelle Webb. Michelle Webb was at Atlantic Records. And so she said she had this video for this group called Original Flavor.
I remember that.
She's like, I got this group, Original Flavor. They're real cool. You might be good for it. But their manager, he's kind of arrogant. He's kind of whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm always, even keeled, mellow. I can run with anybody on the streets, or I can just chill with the regular person. And the manager was Damon Dash. So I met up with Damon Dash, and the group wrote a treatment. He wasn't arrogant at all. He was just cool, But